Oh, hey, Salted Spirit community. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the show. This is Stacy, the creator and host of the Salted Spirit, and today I'm joining you from my fixer-upper porch with a view of some lovely citrus trees. I'm so excited to bring you another breadcrumb episode or abbreviated podcast on a topic surrounding wellness. So today's breadcrumb is on the power of strangers and the 5 reasons you should consider talking to strangers. This episode was, of course, inspired by something personal that happened to me actually today, and it got me thinking about a couple of things. Isn't it amazing how you can get into a deep conversation with someone you've just met, basically tell them your life story, trust them with some of the most intimate of details, and somehow that person is there right when you need them most? My beloved cat Seymour was having some pretty severe eye issues, and since we don't have an established vet here in Ventura, I took him to the local 24-hour emergency room. Now, if you've never been to a 24-hour pet emergency room, I don't wish it on my worst enemy. It is stressful meets sad, and it is not fun. So Seymour and I are waiting outside, and this woman pulls up with her very sick 18-year-old dog, and the dog gets rushed in and prioritized right away. We kind of exchange some small talk outside as we're waiting, and she says with a heavy heart that she thinks she's going to have to put her dog down. I am welling up with tears, and as we continue to chat a little bit more, she also shares that her husband recently passed away in June after being married for 40 years. So at this point, I am a total mess, and the tears are just streaming down my face. Her husband and her dog and COVID, and she looks at me and apologizes for upsetting me, and I can't believe she's apologizing to me. So a few minutes later, she gets word from the vet that yes, they are recommending that she put her dog down, so they invite her in to say her goodbyes. So as I'm sitting outside trying to collect myself, honestly, it just gave me so much perspective in this brief interaction with this stranger. This woman who I come to know as Helen is so strong and stoic, and she's obviously devastated about her dog, and it's okay to be sad, but she doesn't have that like poor me mentality. She's in touch with reality, but just really strong. I don't know how else to describe her. So I'm thinking about just ways that I can comfort Helen. I have no problem hugging strangers. This is something I've been known to do in the past, but with COVID, that's kind of like, off limits. I want to give her some tea, but of course I don't just have any tea laying around in my truck. So I go to my truck and I'm like rummaging through, and I actually have a few fresh lemons from our lemon tree that I was going to deliver to my friend Andrew. So sorry about that, fish. I will pick you some new ones soon. But I could tell this woman was so positive and, as cheesy as it sounds, resourceful about making something sweet out of something so bitter. So lemons actually felt really appropriate. So when Helen came out, of course, with tears welled up in her eyes, she sat back down with me and we ended up chatting for about an hour. I gifted her the lemons with the disclaimer that she didn't have to accept them because of COVID, but her smile lines behind her mask told me she was grateful. And I felt like I was destined to meet Helen today, to see her strength and take a little courage from her lesson book. She went on to share some pretty intimate details about her husband and how he passed away of only 1 week of finding the cancer. And he did everything on his bucket list with no regrets. He said he did everything he wanted to do in 60 years. So for those last few days, he was content and only wanted to be home with his wife and his dogs. He told Helen to listen to the song Peaceful Easy Feeling by the Eagles after he passed away. And I couldn't help but pull that up on my phone and listen to it today. Even though I've heard that song probably 1,000 times, I heard it differently today as I was thinking about them. And I realized I think the universe put Helen and I together today, and I definitely needed her, and maybe she needed me a little bit too. COVID is making us weary of strangers. I feel like we already had our guard up before now, but now things are weird. So to me, it was a reminder to still be open to sharing conversations with strangers. And in closing of this breadcrumb video, I just want to share with you the 5 lessons I learned today. 1, it's just a reminder to listen, to genuinely pause, maybe put your phone down for a minute, because people might need a listening ear. 2, it's okay to ask questions. People like to feel heard. I find that when I ask someone a question, it lets them know that I'm really listening. 3, Vulnerability often comes out more between strangers because people feel judgment-free. I'll never see that person again, so who cares? So let it fly. It can be therapeutic. It's like writing your deepest secrets down on paper and then burning them. 4, I think talking to strangers is like a lost art or a secret society. We don't do it anymore, especially with COVID. So if you're brave enough to start a conversation with a stranger, which I challenge you to do this week, kudos to you. Welcome to the secret society. And 5, and lastly, this is actually an excerpt from a researcher and journalist in a book that's not yet published. It's coming out April of 2021, and it's called The Power of Strangers. The author writes, even passing interactions with strangers can enhance empathy, happiness, cognitive development, ease loneliness and isolation, and root us in the world, deepening our sense of belonging. What? Okay, I am going to get that book because it sounds amazing. And I think it was pretty inspired by COVID, honestly. All right. Thanks for watching another episode, another breadcrumb video on the power of strangers and the 5 things I learned today and why you should talk to strangers. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a comment on iTunes or share this video on Instagram and let me know if you're enjoying these breadcrumb videos. It's getting dark out, as you can see, and hopefully you can still see this video, but I hope you guys have a lovely night. And I'm going to end our episode today with an awesome audio submission from my lovely friend Laura, who leads the Confessions of a Surfer Girl podcast and Iara Surf, which is a great surf line. So check her out. She's lovely. So a quick note from Laura on what wellness means to her. Wishing you all a good week. Until next time.
Hi there, Stacy. This is Laura Day calling from my new home in Pasadena, California. What wellness means to me is having the time and space to have peace and tranquility in your life and saying no to or walking away from things that don't allow you to maintain a peaceful state of mind. My tip or trick would be that if you're interested in meditation but hate sitting in silence, find instrumental music with a strong beat or maybe music that features some of your favorite instruments and play this during your meditations. You can focus really closely on the sounds and allow yourself to get lost in the music.